Good morning, students. Kate Lawson here. Just putting a little video together for you about the Durkheim and Suicide assignment. Um, because I've had a few people reach out to me and feeling really uneasy about this, and I just want to quell your nervousness and anxiousness around this assignment. So, for one, this is our very first assignment, and I absolutely do not expect you to be expert sociologists, right? I know that this is a challenging assignment. I know, right? But I also know that you can do it. And I want to give you that experience of going, "Oh my god, I can't do this." Yes, I can, okay? So first of all, I want you to know that I recognize you've only been in the class for a week. So, consider that. I also want you to know that cuz I know a lot of people are concerned about grades. I am not grading you harshly on this. If you show that you put forth effort and you tried, you'll be fine. So, I really want you to kind of breathe a little bit with this one and just try, right? Just try. What we're doing here with this Durkheim and suicide assignment is we're really digging a little bit deeper. Most people think of suicide as something psychological or something inside the individual, right? They were depressed. But Durkheim really looked at this a lot more broadly, and he said, if that were true, then should see consistent levels of suicide from country to country, and we do not. A lot of times, systems or the way countries are set up or the way that they run will influence this very individual act. And that's like a really important thing to think about in sociology, right? Because now we're looking at suicide, something we always think of associated with psychology, from a sociological macro approach, right? To understand, like, well, if we really want to try to curb things like suicide rates, maybe we need to think about our systems, maybe we need to think about our structure or the way we do things, right? So I was having a fabulous conversation with one of your classmates yesterday, and we were engaging with these ideas. And she brought up the idea of looking at a country like South Korea, where, and I know a lot of my students are from South Korea, but there's a very strong emphasis put on education, right? And it can be a very stressful thing for students. They have the government actually had to set up rules where you couldn't study past a certain time because these kids were studying all night and it was causing other problems. But we have to look at their system to create an understanding. And this is just one dimension. But think about, they have a test that will determine kind of the trajectory of the rest of your life that you take when you're 18. That's a lot of pressure for students, right? And so when you can kind of compare it to a system like America, where sometimes, as parents, we need to get our kid, we really need to push them to be studying until 10 o'clock or something like that. That's when we're looking at this more of a systems or systemic way of looking at it, right? We're not saying this is just an individual, right? We're saying, no, this has something to do with the large, broader picture. Now, consider the fact that I also want you to consider the fact that humans are incredibly complex, right? So, of course, like, this isn't going to happen for everyone. Like, not everyone's going to get, really depressed in South Korea and commit suicide over this. But we're looking at the patterns, and that's what's really, really important in sociology. So, I think sometimes with this assignment, we are really trained in America to have a right answer, right? The answer must be B. It's on that page or something like that. Sorry, I'm getting all kinds of notifications. But what I want you to see is that sociology is really just about creating that understanding. So, what I'm asking you to do for this assignment is to get a good sense of what Durkheim was talking about. We kind of talked about it right now, but you're going to use research to build understanding, right? So, you don't worry about being right. Worry about, or don't worry at all, sorry. Um, Try to use research to create understanding. Looking at that South Korea example really connects to Durkheim's study. Does that make sense? We also might look at COVID rates. So, or COVID and suicide. One group that has in which the rates of suicide have gone up are the elderly. Now, this is pretty common sense. But and it really connects to Durkheim, right? Because these people, Durkheim said a lot of this had to do with how people were integrated into society, or how well they were integrated. Well, we know our elderly folks have been in, a lot of them have been in extreme isolation during COVID. A lot of us, like someone my age, yes, COVID has not been great, but it hasn't, I can still be with my family. Even during the really hard times, I had a little inner circle. But if I was an elderly person, in a kind of a precarious health condition, I may not be able to risk that. Imagine not being able to see like the core people who, keep you alive and supported, and people who love you. It could be incredibly challenging. Other parts of this in terms of suicide, we know that it's not just our health that's been impacted by COVID, our financial systems, even things like getting healthy energy out. In my criminology class, they're looking at COVID and crime. Things like domestic violence are way, way up. Overall, crime is down. Domestic violence is way up. Homicide and violent crime is way up, right? How do we explain this? Well, people are tense right now, man. We still are living in a constant state of uncertainty. And this really relates to Durkheim and norms and like, God, we were already living in a kind of a hard time because things were moving so fast technologically, right? We're living in one of the fastest transitioning times pre-COVID ever in history, right? Like every time we turn around, technology is changing. There's a lot to kind of be worried about that we know about. And so it was already hard. Now you add COVID into it. And like, many of us would go, what Durkheim would say is we are living in a state of anomie, right? A state of normlessness. And uncertainty. And this is, we don't work well like this. So, in understanding a lot of this, we're looking at how these larger systems, like, the government sets this mandate that, you shouldn't be going outside. So now we have families staying inside together, sometimes in very unhealthy situations. The tension of other things, the tension of health, worrying about family members, right? Not that any of this behavior is ever okay. But again, we are only trying to create understanding. So do you see how I used what I know, right? These stats and things to kind of prop this thing up, right? Of course, there are plenty of people who didn't face any kind of domestic violence within the home over COVID, but we're just looking at this overall pattern and creating understanding. So some of you might know a little bit about suicide, like my student talking about South Korea. But if you don't, I would start off by just doing some basic Googling. Get a sense, right? What are the variations in terms of country to country? And so I just wanted to create this little video because there were 2 or 3 people that have already reached out, and I know office hours aren't until Friday. So I just want to kind of talk to you like that because my other students seem to feel a little bit better. Like I said, again, I don't expect you to be an expert. I just want you to try because I actually know you can do it because this is not the first time I've had this assignment. So keep in mind, it's okay to feel anxious. I have your back. I am not setting you up to fail, but I really want to challenge you, right? I'm going to challenge you this first freaking week to push yourself because I know you can do this. So I just wanted to put that together. For those of you feeling uneasy, if you're still feeling uneasy, come to me during office hours tomorrow. We can talk in more detail. Sometimes for many of you, it just feels better to talk, and I get that, right? We're different types of learners. Totally get that. So with that, I hope you have a wonderful day. Don't worry. You're okay. You are safe. I got your back. I'm taking care of you. So don't worry, okay? I want you to have a great day. Don't stress. Just do your best, okay? That's it. That's all I ask. All right. Take care. Bye.